Hello again. Welcome to another episode of the Plug Podcast. Music and more with Bushy and Metal Mike. Bushy, Metal Mike. Metal Mike's got someone in the room with him. Who we got today?
All right, this is a long time coming, folks. You've heard me mention him on the air many times. He's actually been a semi-regular on the Metal Mike show, which is now on Cranium Radio every Friday night from
Plug
8
it.
p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the Plug Podcast. Goddamn
Yeah,
right, I'm going to
gotta
plug it.
plug it.
The one and only Scapegoat, aka my older brother, David Tyler.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the
Bye.
Plug, man. How
So,
you doing?
I'm
the fuck did
alive.
you bring him here for?
For trouble, man. You know me. I'm
Welcome
trouble.
aboard.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
So yeah, basically, he's been wanting to come on for a long time, and I've always been like, well, yeah, but I want to get the right subject matter for you. And I thought that in light of recent events, for one thing, I thought we could talk about a few current events before we talk about what the main subject is. Of course, there recently Bushy and I'd already talked about it, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on the Alice Cooper band reuniting, and what did you think of
Well,
that
so far,
single from the new album coming out?
yeah, that
Black
song.
Mamba.
Yeah, I like. And it does it. They did a very good job
Oh, dude,
recapturing that iconic
it's almost like they
Alice
picked up where
Cooper
they
band
fucking left off,
sound.
man.
Yeah.
I wish when I heard it, I thought, and this is no disrespect to Alice. But
Alice, the
for
solo artist, yes.
right. I there's some of that. It's a hit lick and a miss with me. But a little bit like Osborne's career after Randy exited. There's certain albums where. But that song, this late recent song, I was like, man, this could have been on the Alice Cooper live album, right along with Black Widow. And it just has that kind of iconic at the bass. I love the bass.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what's weird though. Black Widow was really that album, Welcome to My Nightmare, was his first solo album. That
Yeah.
was
Oh, was
Yeah, Muscle of Love was the first band, the last Alice Cooper
Cooper
band
band.
album. Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, to me, man, this sounds like something that couldn't have just come off that album, but like Bushy mentioned, it reminded him of Dead Babies from Killer as
Yeah.
well. And yeah,
Okay.
I loved it, man. I was like,
Yes.
holy shit, if the rest of the record's like this,
Right. Yeah,
you
which I'm
know,
thinking that, why wouldn't it be?
right. I mean, damn, it
Because
was just so
that's their
good.
objective is
And
to
then you got
capture
Bob
that.
Ezrin producing, who's the guy who produced really all of Alice's, even when he went solo, all his greatest albums.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
so
hoping it's going to be a solid 10 songs, maybe 11 if they've got a short one in there.
Mhm.
None of this 13, 15, 18 song album shit.
Right.
Give me a solid 10 songs from the Alice Cooper group, man. And they're playing with Judas Priest down here in Charlotte. I'm like, hmm.
That'd be a
now
good
is that the
show.
Alice Cooper band or is that Alice Cooper, the solo artist, or does anybody know for sure yet?
Sure. I am not sure which it is. I haven't seen either. So
Right. Right.
I'm
Well, I
really,
mean, I would go see both. I would go see solo Alice again. He's amazing.
Yeah, I seen him way back with
You saw him on the Raise Your Fist and Yell
yeah,
tour,
I seen him.
dude, which I love that. That's my favorite 80s Cooper album.
Who opened for Alice on that tour? You remember? I don't remember.
Who was it?
Was
It
it
was
Wasp that opened for Kiss back in the day?
you saw Kiss on the Asylum tour with Wasp opening
Right.
because you
I
said
get
that
that
Eric
mixed
Carr
up.
did one of the greatest drum solos you'd ever
Yeah,
seen.
Carr was amazing.
I can only imagine how badass that was.
Pretty badass. It was
Plus,
the best part of the show
I love that record. I love
at that
that.
time frame, Kiss for me.
Well, I remember one thing you told me that he was practically his own band because he had certain drum heads that had that
Trigger,
mimicked
like
sounds, like
you
would
would
trigger,
sounds
it
off
would
the
sound like a
padded
guitar,
drum
and
pad.
and
I
he
don't
would,
know how they do it. I'm not a
but
tech guy.
yeah, but yeah. I remember you coming home that night and said, "Dude,
One
he
man
was
band.
amazing, man."
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I haven't been able to see a lot of shows. My household, man, an uber Christian conservative. So
Well,
my
my
very
mom was
first
so expensive,
concert
man.
wasn't until
Okay.
1996 when Kiss put the makeup back on.
Oh, no
High
shit.
school for 3 years. I mean, now I had snuck down to Lost Horizons in Syracuse with my buddies, so I've seen some cool stuff there. Uh,
Right.
I saw White Zombie before they were anybody. I saw Typo before they were
Oh, same
anybody.
here. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
So
but
you
That's
saw them
the
when they were just
typo
club
in
bands
the early
then,
years.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
before
when
they
they were,
made it.
yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Excuse me.
You know, I almost saw the Nixons, but the band that opened, they played 3 songs in a row and they all sounded the same. And me and my buddy were like, man, these guys suck. And we left. So I never did see the Nixons.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But it was a cool little club. I was talking to Rachel Bullitt about it. I asked him about Lost Horizons. He's like, heard of it. I played it. So I've been seeing Skid Row in that club.
Oh wow. That's cool.
That's awesome.
I've always, well, it depends on the situation, but a lot of my most memorable shows that I ever seen artist was in clubs. Just the intimacy of it.
Yeah, club vibe is a
I
real
mean,
cool
being
vibe. I
several
like
a feet
arenas.
away or yard away from your favorite guitar player is
Yeah,
awesome. Or big arena shows, you don't get that.
right. I saw Raven and I was 2 feet in front of the bass player there.
Even no shit.
Oh,
Oh yeah, the first Rockin' Pod they
That's
had him
cool.
down there, man.
Yeah.
And that's what was cool is because him and Ian was
I
telling me
had some
about
Raven
how
albums.
those guys from Raven know Ralph, and
yeah.
this was right after Ralph got in some trouble with
Ralph knows
Columbia.
about every
Yeah, he does.
sense or another.
But he got in trouble in Colombia because he was on stage and he made a crack about cocaine or
You told
something.
me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ralph didn't see it was a big deal. By the time he left, he'd already left. Next thing you know, people are sending videos of him on TV where they're speaking in, Spanish, talking about Ralph
Surreal.
and
That
Thash
must
had
have been
died,
surreal.
causing all this fucking controversy. Like the Colombian police are thinking about,
Deporting them.
yeah. And but he was already long gone.
Maybe
And
a
and
little
I guess because it became a thing, man, the guys from Raven looked at Ralph and said, "Ralphie boy, what'd you do?"
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was fucking hilarious, man. Like Ralph actually played me a clip where they're like, talking in Spanish, and they're like, "Uno de bullo, thrash or die," and I'm like, "Whoa," it was pretty
Pretty
trippy,
epic.
man.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what's kind of cool about Ralph is he got to play literally in front of thousands of people, man, and they were there to see Thrasher die.
That's
Yeah.
all.
I mean, that's like he said,
I saw them at a club in Queens, man. Thrasher died.
yeah, yeah.
Alice,
Yeah, I would like to have caught. Yeah,
I would love to have seen Ralph,
that would have been fun.
awesome.
Never
It
got
was
to.
funny because you're sitting there and I was hanging out with Ralph all night, but then he got up on stage and it was Dr. Fuck, and I kind of geeked out a little bit. I was like, this motherfucker is awesome on the stage.
Yeah, Ralph's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is.
Yeah, Raven. I saw a stadium quality show inside this bar, the Basement East in fucking Nashville, man.
Now,
And
see, I saw that.
Oh.
I saw Black Heron there the following year, and they were really cool, man. They were really good.
apparently, the week before that Rocket Pod, when we were all there at the basement, the week before Metallica had come in and had done a fucking show in that place, a tune-up show to get ready for
Oh,
the tour.
This club ain't no bigger than this fucking basement. It's tiny.
Wow.
Tiny little club, man. Could you imagine being that close to?
Oh, dude, they
No.
said it. Chris Sinzak told me it
Because
became
even
total
when
bedlam
back in the day,
because Metallica appeared there as another name, and the next thing you know, it's fucking Metallica, man. And of course, it's like fucking in Nashville, dude. Everybody just goes ape
that would be
shit.
well.
Next
Yeah,
thing you know,
the first time I seen Metallica was Masters, and we were a little late to the show, getting in.
you were pissed. I bet.
But as I was trying to get to our fucking seats, the lights dropped, and I'll never forget it, man. The lights dropped and the lights kicked, and I could see the iconic, crosses,
Yeah,
and everything. And they I can't remember what they opened up with. May have been Masters, I don't know. But I remember walking in and getting in there and getting up on because everybody there stood up on their seats, and we get in there and get up on the fucking seat, and I could see him, and we had pretty good seats for that show. We was, I don't know, it was like center, back a few sections. Like, I mean, I could make out everybody really well. I mean,
nice.
and Cliff, I remember just being totally blown away by Cliff. I mean, I did watch the overall show and the band, but I was always on my boy, man, because
Yeah. I'd have been gobsmacked. I've never seen.
yeah,
I would like to see them on this tour.
yeah,
Because they're not playing a lot of that 72 seasons crap and leave that other shit alone, that Saint Anger crap. And
yeah. Well, I don't want to go
I'm
down
going
the
to get
rabbit
some
hole. It's
load and
almost as bad as
reload.
the Kiss
the Chris
Vortex thing,
the Kiss
but,
Vortex and
yeah.
the
But
Metallica
for
Vortex.
me, I mean, I love the early years for me, Metallica.
Same with Kiss.
Yeah. The Black Album was where I kind of dropped out.
Yeah.
And I know for some people that's where they dropped
Amen.
in.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, and to the credit of a lot of the people that did, they went back and listened to those initial
And
albums.
fell in love with those
Yeah, so
records as well.
we all have,
Yeah, my first one was Justice, and I went backwards. Ride the Lightning, still my favorite.
yeah,
Like,
right, Lightning,
record.
I will say this,
great album.
even though for me, I think it's really hard because really with the first three, can't go wrong with any of them.
Mhm.
I'm more of a, I mean, so for me to go, oh, well, I like Masters better, it's really almost by a pubic hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, because to me, I still think Fight Fire with Fire is one of the greatest opening tracks to any metal album, thrash or whatever. It melts your fucking face, man.
Yeah.
It's just like its greatest battery is the opening track for Master of Puppets. I love it. Fight Fire with Fire is better, man.
Yeah, I took that to what was it back in the day? I guess I was shopping for some new speakers. So I bought Serwin Vegas. I had been kind of eyeballing and listening to them. And I went back, like I went in a couple times, checked them out, and then me and my buddy go back, and I told him, I was like, well, the real test is going to be, you know, Metallica. So I take Ride the Lightning in, and I'm like, drop this on and crank her, buddy. And if they can handle this, I'll buy them. So he did. I remember everybody at the fucking store because he dumped it. Boom, man. And these like all the people in the store were like, what the shit, you know? But that's back in the day when, that kind
Well,
of
I
music
mean,
just like
the great thing about that song, though, is it starts off with that beautiful instrumental beginning
yeah.
and then
It's
goes
like
right
the
into
Sabbath
this.
effect, dude.
I loved it, man.
Where you
I
have
just
that
seen
acoustic intro.
the Four Horsemen, which I can understand why they get the accolades they do, because for one, they play nothing but the classic era. And they actually do some Megadeth stuff too. And the dude not only can sound like he sounds exactly like a young James Hetfield, he can do young Dave Mustaine too. I
Wow.
mean, amazing, amazing. And they opened with Fight Fire with Fire, and the
Yeah.
whole club went fucking ape shit, dude. Like they were badass, man.
Well, Metallica is one of those bands that's up there. Like, I don't know. I would think by now this is within our community a shared experience is that you go to a show and before the show they play certain artists,
Yeah.
right? And Slayer was always one of those bands that they didn't even have to be there for people to start moshing just with the shit playing over the PA.
Nice.
Like, Slayer would
Yes.
come on, and next thing you know, people
Yes.
are going,
Yes.
yes. And that I mean, say what you want. I know some people are find Slayer, unappealing, I guess, but they definitely had a cult. Like they
Oh,
had a loyal cult.
Slayer
Still
fan.
do.
Well, like we said a while back,
And Metallica's kind of like that too. Like
I was
people
telling
react when you play Metallica over the PA. I mean,
I was telling actually it was Shani uh when I interviewed her, I told her about seeing, because she mentioned System of a Down as one of her influences. And I said, I saw them before anybody knew who they were. They opened for Slayer at Mississippi Nights. And I told her about Mississippi Nights. That was this legendary venue where
that was
Bon
great.
Scott played there and got kicked out. She goes, oh my God, that's
Wow.
awesome. Yeah. And they tore it down to build make for a fucking parking lot. So
It's a casino.
yeah, I know.
Parking lot for a
yeah,
casino.
it pisses
They had
me
a
off
wall
with
that
signatures.
all the people that had ever played there, and we're talking from punk artists,
Metal, rock, punk,
all genres of art,
blues, you
yeah,
name it.
all signed their names to that wall, and I don't know if anybody even really attempted to sell.
I wish I could have bought it.
Somebody tried to salvage that
because my God. And so anyway, man, we see System. And they open for Slayer, Bushy, and that's not an easy feat for most bands.
Well, yeah, you got a pretty tough audience.
And that's why I became a fan instantly, because first of all, when I heard him, I'm like, whoa, this dude and his voice, and it's so fucking weird, but yet
different.
I dug it, man. It was just weird, and when he goes, sugar, I'm like, what the fuck? But it was like, ding, 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 ding. But then they fucking started rocking, and I'm
How'd
going,
it go? Do that again.
Wow. Like when he does like sugar, slow like that, yeah. And then he does that. Yeah, it's fucking crazy shit. And then all of a sudden it goes into this heavy riff, And I'm just like, holy fuck, man, these guys, and you know, they got a good response, dude, that night.
Well,
I mean, the crowd got,
my memory,
and this is a Slayer crowd. Keep in mind, this is a Slayer crowd, and they fucking went
yeah,
ape shit. for
my
this band.
memory of it is we go in, we get seated, System come out. The audience, obviously, typical metal, especially Slayer, you get, yeah, oh yeah,
More like Prove It.
yeah, like, yeah, all right. Second song, I couldn't tell you what it was, but they play another track, cut, and I could there a little bit more, a little warmer, not a lot. Third song, a little bit warmer. A little bit.
Yeah.
By the fourth track, everybody was like, most of the people there were like, yeah, we did.
And then people started moshing. And then by the end, when they said, we're proud to be share the same stage with one of our major influences, and they were on the same label, Slayer, and everybody fucking went nuts, man. Yeah, they were great. And I remember going to look for their record, but at the time, I thought their name was Symptom, like Symptom of the Universe, Symptom of a Down. And dude went, no, I think we do have a new album coming out in a few months, System of a Down.
Well,
like,
I talked to
I pre-ordered
the
that
guitar
shit.
player, Derek.
Yeah, Derek.
I talked to Derek, him and what's the bass player's name? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But
Anyway,
I know.
they were standing outside the club grabbing smoke when I come out.
Wow.
And I walked up and was like, I absolutely enjoyed that. It was amazing. And I was like, what's the new album? Like, what's up with this album? You know, where's, you know, he goes, well, we did an album and we're touring it, but he's like, it doesn't drop for like, I think it was like another month and a half.
Month and a half. It was, yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm on that. And then that's honestly, you know, because that was like around the time frame when the whole MP3 thing, you know, they ended up doing Steal This Album and what was the fast download, the Napster bullshit, like around that time frame. So it's like, you know, that was the last time for me as an old school metalhead, you know, being really excited about going to, you know, the mom and pop fucking record store or whatever and getting the album the day it dropped.
Yeah.
You know, there was no, I don't even think back then there was no YouTube. There was nothing. So, you know, and that was the last time I genuinely remember being like, man, I cannot wait. And I was there the day it dropped.
So well, as I said, I pre-ordered. I said, I want that album, man. They said,
I went to the actual record store.
Me too. Yeah, I went to that mom and pop store in Alton.
Yeah, yeah.
Music
what was that
Biz.
called? Remember? Music Biz.
And I went in there, man, and told them, hey, I want that album, man. And yeah, I've been a fan ever since. So yeah, so any band that opens for Slayer, you know, it's usually a pretty challenging thing, but it's just weird though. But you are right. Whenever I've been to other shows, if they play Slayer over the PA system, people will start moshing and going crazy, man. But it's kind of like that Jim Brewer comedy routine. Slayer fans are just a whole other.
Very much like that. I laugh so hard on that, yeah, because it's so very much like that, and with Slayer and their audience. But I went to see Sacred Reich and Forbidden open for them, and in my general area, you know, it wasn't very what's the word? Welcoming, but
underground.
That music just, I mean, more so than it was in the bigger cities. And, you know, it was like a lot of the bands back in the day when I would go see certain thrash bands or bands like that, it was like in soccer clubs. Like there would be like I went and seen one in a fucking bowling alley. A fucking bowling alley, dude.
Seen some pretty good music at a bowling alley.
Yeah. I mean, crazy shit like that in this area in the early, you know, I'm talking in the early part of it, you know, like, but I don't remember what I was in.
Yeah, I envy you, man, that you saw Forbidden.
Oh, Forbidden. Yeah. I was talking
and Sacred. I mean, I finally got to see Sacred Reich, but man, I always was like, man, because I love me some Forbidden.
They were amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
I have a similar story. It's not a band you guys would appreciate. Well, I'm assuming Scapegoat you wouldn't. But I was actually going to see Run DMC. That was my whole reason for going to this show. It was Family Values 99, and Stained was one that blew me the fuck out of the water.
I like their early, like the first album or so's not bad. I bought
hadn't quite dropped yet.
Yeah.
Just a little shy of coming out, that Dysfunction album.
Mm-hmm.
But little Mike Mushak, he's like this Oompa Loompa looking motherfucker because he's short. He's shorter than Aaron Lewis is.
Yeah.
Just convulsing on the stage when they're doing Suffocate. And I was like, what in the fuck is this? I walked out of there a Stained fan and went straight to the stage door in Watertown, New York. So I saw them at the Pepsi Arena in Albany. So when I got back to Watertown the next day, I went straight to the stage door and same thing. I was like, hey, is that Stained album out yet? And he said, no, it's gonna be a little while. So same thing. I pre-ordered, put my cash down and bought it. And I walked away a Limp Bizkit fan. But that's the band I was really
I bought the first, I think the first Limp Bizkit album.
Yeah, you did. You got $3 bill, y'all.
Yeah.
And we seen him at Ozfest. And I gotta say, man, they put on a heck of a show.
It's weird. Like a lot of people want to shit on the whole new metal thing. And you can ask my brother, like, I'm not a genre guy. Like I either like it or I don't. That applies to every genre. Like it don't matter what it is. It's either good or like I was talking earlier to him in the car. I'm like, just because it was thrash metal wasn't like thumbs up. Every band was like, oh, I just love it because it's simply thrash metal. You know, I mean, everybody has what they like. It either appeals to you or it fucking don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
No matter what genre. And
right.
So there was bands that fell in the new metal slot that I was like, yeah. You know, I'm sorry. I like Korn.
Yeah, same.
Early Korn is good shit.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck off. I don't care.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't care whatever.
Blew me the fuck away, man. I had never had a front man take me to a point where he could have told me to stab the dude in the neck next to me.
Yeah.
I've probably fucking done it.
You know about Limp.
I mean, here's the thing about that.
Well, look what he did at Woodstock. What was that? Woodstock
99.
I mean,
up there in Rome. Yeah.
You know, he swears up and down. He goes, I didn't mean like literally burn the place up, though. He said, I just said, because the song's called Break Shit. That's what the name of the song is. He goes, I just meant like let out your energy. I didn't mean like literally fucking tear the place apart. But they did.
Almost at that. I was
really?
there at Griffiths Air Force Base. It's about.
I guess that kind of would have been a good, bad thing. I don't know.
It would have been great, but it got dangerous. And then,
but you know what? There's other reasons why that shit got as crazy as it did.
Well,
you're charging people $30 for a bottle of fucking water. Right, exactly. And some of the fucking greedy fucking bullshit that they were doing.
Right. You're on the heart.
Yes. Yes. And you're in the heat all goddamn day.
All right, Mike.
That's where we used to fly out of for deployments. My first deployment, we had to go to Griffiths Air Force Base on Bernie's bus ride from hell. These little buses with your fucking pack on your fucking lap and your M16 strapped on top of it. Second one, they'd built an airfield right there at Fort Drum, so we did all of our flying out right there.
Yeah.
So there's no grass anywhere. There's no cool off anywhere on the Air Force.
Yeah, nothing that's like.
It's a terrible venue. It was a terrible place to have a thing like that.
Yeah. So I'm glad we didn't go. Me and my roommate in the barracks, we actually ended up buying the pay-per-view and watched it all unfold. We were like, boy, I'm glad we didn't go there.
Turned out to be a better idea in the long run.
We'd be calling the first sergeant to bail us the fuck out of jail.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I didn't know that you'd come close to going to that thing, man.
Yeah, my roommate, Vic Slape was his name. He was a guitar player. He taught me a lot of stuff. Big Iron Maiden fan. So a lot of the stuff he would write was very Iron Maiden influenced.
That's great. I mean,
those were good days. Those are the best days of my life. But dodged that bullet, thankfully. Thankfully, still would have been cool. But man, Durst turned me into a fan at that other show, and that was for their second album. I had never heard any of their shit, and their stage.
What was the second album called?
I don't.
Insignificant Other, right? Yeah. Wasn't that what it was called?
Their Significant Other.
Yeah.
But it looked like a mad scientist laboratory, man. Like the drum riser was a Bunsen burner and shit. And
when we seen them,
they were very theatrical, man.
And they had the giant shitter on stage.
It was. He jumps out of a fucking toilet, man. And I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, man? And we knew who Limp Bizkit was because Dave bought the first album, and I still liked that record, man. I don't care, like I know it's cool to bash on him, and I'm not like I'm weird. I'm not like the biggest Limp Bizkit fan in the world, but I don't hate that
stuff's pretty decent.
I like that first record.
The thing is,
now
I could handle them before a lot of other
for that style of metal. I liked Snot better than Limp Bizkit, but
God,
I
I
did
wish
like
that
Limp
would've kept
Bizkit.
going.
Yeah, well, you know what? Apparently they're back together with another singer
It
now,
ain't the same.
but it ain't. That's what Chris Czynszak said. He goes, in fact, they're just talking about that on the latest episode. Well, not the latest, but the latest I'm listening
Not
to,
saying
the
it
Rock
won't
and
be
Metal
good.
Combat
I'm just saying
podcast.
it's
And
not.
Chris was like, I just don't see how they can do it without Lynn Straight.
I agree 100%.
And I agree with Czynszak on that 100%, man, because he was a big part of that
But
band.
yeah, I got to see Snot at Ozfest.
That's like the Sex
second
Pistols.
stage,
Yeah.
man.
You
Huh?
know? It's like the Sex Pistols touring without Johnny Rotten. What?
Yeah, what's the fucking point? Yeah.
I mean, Dead Kennedys does that without Jello Biafra, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Now
Give me a
DH
break.
Negroes passed on, so they don't even have their original drummer. So now it's becoming Vixen. I mean, Vixen's down to one fucking original member, drummer.
Yeah,
Rock.
dude.
I was a big Vixen.
Oh, they were hot, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but yeah, I wasn't really big on
it. They weren't. I mean, they were considered metal then, but I have a
when
real
did Vixen pop on the scene? What time frame?
Vixen, like late 80s, I think. Yeah, right around the time when you and I were by 88, dude. We're listening to a lot of your thrash metal.
Yeah.
And bands like Tesla, Guns N' Roses, shit like that's what we were listening to. Yeah. That's what was. Well, remember, you bought Appetite for Destruction before anybody. Dude, he bought it with the original album cover, the one with the painting
on fucking.
I remember.
Hey man, I'm gonna give this. In fact, Jason Reeve, he reminded me not too long ago. He's like, yeah, you fucking made me a copy of that and insisted, like, listen to this motherfucker, they're good. And yeah. I actually ran across an article and because I was always that guy that would take a trip over to Missouri or wherever, all around, looking for just
it was Metal Hammer, wasn't it?
And a lot of it, that's back in the day when I don't know, it's irrelevant, really, Mike. But
some
it's
metal
like
magazine.
The album covers, were very, very important, and it's like. So when I would go into the store, I'd be like, I got to get some, most cryptic, dark, fucking. I want the shit. I'm looking for the shit. Yeah. So I'd go in and I'd look for album covers, or whatever. And then I was always in the magazines too, and there was a lot of tape, like people bootleg trading and shit going on. But I never personally got too involved in that. But I was always checking up on the reviews, and GNR come up, and I read it. And you're talking about a time when, and I'm not shitting on it for those that love it, but the big hair and all that. And it was kind of reaching that point where, there was a pushback on it. And what's funny to me is now when I look at GNR, the way they were considered more like not, I don't want to be rude, but
they were very
like girly looking shit, like
Axl had his hair teased up, and
Axl had his hair teased up big time, especially in that Appetite for Destruction video.
Things had reached such a absurd point cosmetically with the hair metal and everything that was going on there, man. It's like, there was this pushback, and I feel like thrash metal was a direct response to that too, and so it's like. GNR was actually considered to be kind of edgy again, kind of like old school, like Aerosmith.
Yes.
Which, especially sound-wise.
And I think people like us were kind of craving that. Like, as much as I love the thrash, I was like, where's the potatoes? Yeah, where's the fucking street level rock? Where's the, and we got that with Tesla and Guns N' Roses, because I remember bought the first Tesla album.
And sought it out, and I bought it, and man, dude, that album nobody, even the girls, like my wife at the time, her girlfriends, I'd be like, listen to this fucking shit, it's badass. Welcome to the Jungle, fucking blah, blah, blah. But whatever, Dave,
Yeah. Whatever. I don't even remember hearing Welcome to the Jungle. I heard Sweet Child of Mine first.
Oh, really? Did you?
And that was on the radio because my radio station sucked. We didn't have a good rock station. It was only playing 60s and 70s stuff, your CCRs and such, which is great. I love that stuff.
Right.
But we didn't have a modern rock and roll station. And K-Rock.
That's a bummer.
It didn't reach us. K-Rock was in Syracuse, and it just.
Too far.
Reason signal strength wouldn't reach those 76 miles north.
That's sad. Man.
So I had to listen to top 40. T93 FM is what we had up there. It was top 40 radio.
Right.
So for me, me getting into metal was a lot of what I was hearing on the radio. So, Ozzy and Lita, Close My Eyes Forever. 9 times out of 10, it was a fucking ballad that I was hearing.
Oh yeah, because that's what radio tended to
Your
gravitate.
stepdad though was the one that really opened up things for you,
He had 8 hours of heavy metal videos on a VHS tape. So when I was really like, okay, this is kind of my thing. I'm really digging this shit.
Mhm.
We sat down one day just for 8 hours. I had my mind blasted, because I'm seeing fucking Megadeth Peace Cells. I was like, this is leading with bass. That never what the fuck is this all about? Snarly Nasty Dave. And I was like, man, this is great.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there was a King Diamond video on there. Welcome Home, I think, was on there. So I was getting into everything all at like once.
Soaking it up, yeah, like
stuff because it was more accessible, maybe.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. But all this other stuff, I got it immediately. First time I heard King Diamond, I was like, whoa, this is fucking great.
First time I heard it, I was kind of like,
Layers, Seasons in the Abyss. I'm hearing all this shit, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And then at the same time, hearing like, Territory by Sepultura. And I'm like, so I'm getting into all this shit at the same time. I just tended to go more towards where the chicks were. The chicks were listening to the Poisons and the Bon Jovis and shit.
You were like, see, in a way, like my wife would tell you that you're highly intelligent. That men that have any amount of intelligence and want to pick up the women, they go to the school dances.
Yes.
And they listen to what I call clit rock or clit metal. Sorry, that's kind of vulgar, but
that's okay. This is an uncensored show, Scapegoat.
I know, but that's pretty brutal. But
we don't have any female listeners except for my girlfriend.
The guys that are all, like with fucking spikes coming out of their head, they're not getting laid so much. But guys like you'd be going, So,
yeah, I was going where the girls were hanging out, man. I mean,
it's like,
I had no problem with it. And I loved all that stuff. I mean, when Slippery When Wet dropped, I remember being in Heidelberg, Germany in 6th grade. I was taking a creative writing class. And one of the girls was writing on the chalkboard, Bon Jovi Rules. I don't know who the fuck they were.
Yeah.
No idea.
I only bought one. I'm only guilty of buying one of his albums.
Runaway, wasn't it?
Runaway.
The first.
Is the name of the album too?
I think so.
Oh, it's just
the one with Runaway.
It's not called Runaway.
What's it called? Bon Jovi.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I bought it and listened to it. There was some tracks on it. All right. Yeah, I was big into Tesla for a while.
7,800 Fahrenheit was good. And
yeah,
When Wet dropped about 6 months after I got back to the States.
Yeah.
And I mean, You Give Love a Bad Name was fucking everywhere, dude. And I liked the energy. That's really what I liked.
Having Richie Sambora, like, even if you weren't there solely listening to it, like when I listened to Jovi, it wasn't entirely for Jovi. Not that like he's
John,
not,
yeah.
but I mean, John, but yeah, like I just, I don't know, Richie Sambora being an amazing guitarist and being like a musician's musician, like he brought that element into Jovi that kind of took it up a few notches, in my opinion. But
yeah, it was that they were a great.
The early years were good, decent, I think.
Yeah,
for what it wasn't
for what it was. I mean, it stood the test of time. They're one of them bands that.
Yeah, you got to give them credit. They still have a ton of fans. They still pack places where they play. Man, you got to give them credit.
Release an album last year or so.
Yeah, I mean,
I know he's had a lot of issues. He end up having a throat surgery. I watched that documentary. I think he actually went through the surgery. He ended up having surgery done on his vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm that guy. Like, I love music, even if it's not
I don't care
whatever that I'm big on. I still will watch documentaries. I'll geek out.
Dude, I got a recommendation for you. Then it's called Hate to Love or Love to Hate. I forget which. Nickelback. And it's a documentary about Nickelback. And
I've seen that, and I almost clicked on that.
Dude, it's good because Chad Kroger is like, yeah, we didn't set out to be the most hated band in the world.
Right. I know it touches on that. That's why I was kind of like, because Nickelback was one of those bands where I
could take them or leave them. Like, I didn't hate them.
Like, I want to throw bottles and rocks and shit at them and
no, they're good. They're radio hard rock.
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, everybody's good. I mean, I always kind of focused on me.
Yeah.
Each his own.
Well, you know, it was
know,
interesting
yeah.
because they're featured in that Metal Evolution episode.
I
And
forgot
they
that.
had Jerry Cantrell going out there to jam on them from, Alice in Chains, of course. And somebody was like, and people have given Jerry, shit for that. Well, have you ever listened to him? No. Well, maybe you should before you shoot your mouth off. Like you probably just know a couple of their radio songs. Like somebody pointed out, Dimebag did a solo on one of their songs on one of their albums.
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah. I mean, like they do. Apparently, they do have some heavier material out there. I've never been a big fan myself, but I don't hate them. There's only a few artists I fucking hate. Well, we're not going to talk about that fucking steroid freak pussy who thinks he's Elvis Presley doing metal. So anyway, let's move on.
Oh yeah, I don't want to go down that. I kind of half-ass had an close encounter with him. I don't want to go into. I ended up getting backstage. I just missed being backstage because White Zombie opened for him, Glenn. Nobody knew who the fuck Zombie were. I mean, nobody. I was even asking everybody I was up in the balcony initially when it started. I was like, they're fucking great. They're like, really? Okay. I haven't heard them. I'm like, okay, but
did they get a good reaction?
Great. Oh yeah, great reaction. But by the time Danzig comes out, of course, that's when I get to go back. I managed to get back there via friends' help. And Glenn, you know how he does that whole fishnet shit?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not that I'm not saying Glenn's a pushover, and he
he is. He got knocked the fuck out.
Well, yeah,
everybody's knocked out once. His just happened.
Not this guy.
But fuck, man, I'm standing there with Gal in tow, and she's just all like, oh,
yeah, she.
And anyway, he sees me standing there with her, and he looks over fucking at me, bro, and he coughs up a big old fucking loogie. And he spits that fucking shit right at me. And it lands about 3 inches from the tip of my foot. And I looked at him, and he looks at me, and then he grabs fucking mic and he goes out and he's doing his thing. And then he comes back. It was like watching a fucking rooster strut, dude. It was like he come back around and shit, and he goes with the fishnet, and I'm thinking, it's fishnet, bitch. Like, I mean, I know you're in good shape, and I mean, you might whip my ass even because I'm not no stud, but,
Now, if that had been chainmail, I would have been impressed.
Right, but it's like, come on, Glenn. Like, you can only, it's only so intimidating ripping what is already a very compromised, shirt.
So there's mutual Danzig hate over there. Is that what?
Yeah.
What now?
So there's mutual Danzig hate over there.
Yes.
I don't hate the man, but I always felt he was a bit overrated, the Misfits, and I know they got their fans, and I'm grateful that they happened because they influenced so many.
I'll give them that.
I love.
Yes.
And that they cite.
A part of it with him, it's his personality for me. Okay. I'm just speaking for me. And the fact that he just shoots his mouth off. Like, okay, when he went in a festival and he had a fucking hissy fit because Slayer was playing after him and he was trying to say he's bigger than Slayer, dude, you're not you will never be as big as Slayer. That would be like Slayer bitching about, man, I can't believe we did this festival and Metallica played after us. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say? Like, dude,
the thing with Glenn,
fuck off.
He's got Sam Hain, he's got.
I don't give a fuck.
All that.
None of that's as big as Slayer.
I don't.
Quite a legacy, and that's fine.
So many people getting
people
caught up with what people say or their attitudes and shit. It's like, man, I don't give a fuck. Do I like the music?
Right.
I don't.
When I first heard
music, never killed
I was like, whoa, this is badass.
It wasn't horrible, but it was like.
I mean, hey, look, I know I am in the minority.
Some of it,
I know that. He's got a lot of fans.
Mother goes right through me.
Yeah,
I mean, I can listen to some of his cuts, but when it comes to Mother, it's like it does something to me, man.
I love that song. My girl hates it.
A lot of people do.
Can't stand it. That's why I was shocked when I was interviewing Erie Vaughn that she sat there and was enjoying what he was
He
saying.
seems like a really cool dude.
I expected her to not have a good time at this thing at all, as she had a ball. And especially during the event, because we're just interviewing people, we're not
But no,
talking.
the greatest thing Glenn Danzig ever did was get knocked the fuck out. Yeah, I said it. So anyway, moving on to real artists.
Okay.
That's not nearly as cool as Bang Splat. I don't care what you say.
I was going to say though, I had my backstage, I had my backstage pass, and I was going to wait for Glenn and check it out. After the show, they go and get shower and shit. I didn't feel like waiting to meet him because I'm not really a supersonic dancing fan, and I was mostly there for White Zombie. So I just was like, I'm bugging out. I'm not waiting. So I go out, backstage, and I run into a couple girls, and I realized I didn't have a lighter. I still smoked on the shit. Didn't have a lighter, which is a situation when you're strung out on the sticks. So I said, and the
I know all too well.
past the past didn't mean much to me. So I was like, girls, tell you what, you can have this backstage pass. You give me a lighter. You got a lighter? They go, yeah.
Yeah. So
Pass. I was like, trade me. And they couldn't believe it. They're like, are you shitting? I'm like, yeah, here you go. Girls, have fun.
yeah, sold.
Clearly, he does more for you than he'll ever do for me.
Oh, well, they were looking at his muscles.
Right. They're all twitching and shit downstairs. Yeah.
Arguing for who's going to suck his dick first. I mean,
I met John Christ, which was cool. I got to talk to him for a little while.
Was he cool, dude?
Oh, very nice guy. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like we like.
Well, I mean, Erie Vaughn was nice as
we
could be,
exchanged,
man.
pleasantries or whatever. I talked.
I mean, he's got a good band. He's always, I mean, dude, he's got Tommy Victor from Prom in his band now. I mean,
like
Glenn's always had great musicians around him.
Earlier, I was going to make the statement, and we can wrap it up after that, is that, just because I don't like something, especially at this point in my life, like when I was younger, I was really kind of just fucking it shit.
yeah, we're almost militant when we're younger.
Right. But as an adult, aging, on into my 60s, I'm kind of like, well, they're clearly talented. I can't do that.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not a police guy. Ralph had brought up the police, and I got in a combo with him a little bit, exchange. I even asked him to be like, I have tried with the police over the years several times, and I just can't get it. I can't get in.
I was like that.
His voice and shit just goes right through me.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's because he took a shot all over Ozzy, and so yeah, that don't help out. But anyway, there's a lot of really talented people out there, and I don't like the music.
Yeah.
But that don't mean they're not talented.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm the same way with Rush.
That's fine. I get it,
like
because
Rush,
when I initially heard Rush, it wasn't an instant like. Geddy Lee's voice was kind of like, what the fuck?
yeah, grates on me.
Yeah.
I tried repeatedly.
Primus is another off-putting band. Les. Like, with Les, it was.
They're one of the weird ones I actually got at first.
Yeah, but it clicked with them
Tommy
again.
the Cat. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Tommy the Cat has many stories.
Yeah, when I first heard
on rare
like,
occasions
Clutch,
such as this,
when I first heard Clutch, I was like, what in the fuck? Shotgun me. What the fuck?
A shotgun, Shogun named Marcus. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I insist on shotgun.
I don't either.
Anyway, smack me. Yeah.
Anyway, man, you just kind of segued in it in a cool way. You mentioned the Ozman.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why Scape's here tonight is he kind of wants to address, I guess there's been some negativity about, and I know you know about it, Bushy, about, Black Sabbath's final show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's some people back to the beginning in Birmingham, I believe July 5th, right? Not only is there like a shitload of artists and bands playing there, but there's like a bunch of super groups.
It's called the Aston Arena.
Yeah, it's
normally a football, like rugby stadium.
Yes. And it was Tony Iommi and Sharon Osbourne who announced this. Some people are bitching because I guess they thought all these bands and artists were going to play a full set. It's like, it's just one day, folks.
Yeah, it's not a,
and so you have that, and like some people are, oh, it's a money grab. Well, come to find out the money's going to like 3 different charities.
Yeah.
You know, it to me, it's Ozzy. I think this is the end, guys. Like this isn't another no more tours or whatever bullshit. Like this is it, guys.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
not pulling a kid.
Ozzy has Parkinson's. He's clearly declining. Okay. So much so that Maynard from Tool said, because he's
Yeah,
going to
that
be
just
one of the
came out
guests there,
yesterday or today.
he said that he's going to be surprised if Ozzy's going to be able to do much of any fucking thing. So I don't know what he knows or what he's seen or whatever.
It goes deeper. I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about all the original Sabbath members. Bill's
none
had
of
what, 1 or 2 heart attacks, not in great health. Iommi's dealt with cancer, which could come out of remission
anytime. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, part of me worries that there's more going on with one of them, if not Ozzy outright, that goes even beyond the Parkinson's and shit. Because this seemed to come. I mean, I know Ozzy's been wanting to do something. He's been talking about it. When I don't know if you noticed on YouTube, they started doing a podcast, and it was Sharon, Ozzy, and the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, they would talk about like a variety of shit, but Ozzy would bring up, like, you know, I don't know what's happened with this shift of like there's just things that when it comes to Osbourne, especially the fact that he's one of the pinnacle architects of metal, in my opinion, Sabbath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then he goes on with the solo career. Like, why did I don't understand? Like, it's weird. I get these weird vibes of like, well, how dare you get old? One, you know, and how dare you like get sick? Like, you're supposed to be like this super god forever, you know, and it don't work like that. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't. I've watched Ozzy do probably more for the metal community than any one artist I can think of. I can't think of anybody that actually outright has a festival in their. I mean, I know Slipknot started one, but
Which you would not have without Ozfest.
right, without the, you know, and I know some people sharing has polarized a lot of people, but even with that, you know, Mike, I don't know. I'm going to put that out there. Like Sharon, I feel about Sharon kind of like I had to kind of come with terms with Sharon, like the good and the bad, kind of like Yoko Ono. Like, but at the end of the day, John loved her, right?
Yeah.
So if John loved her, that's all to me, looking at the human side and not just the artist side, then good for Oz. If that's his soulmate, then shut the fuck up.
She saved his life. I mean,
And yeah,
nothing from nothing. I mean, she's
a lot of good shit that come from Sharon Osbourne.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. That's what I said when Shani Crab and I talked about that interview at Rockin' Pod. You know, I'm somehow Ozzy came up and Ozfest and all that. And she said, you wouldn't have Knotfest. You wouldn't have any of these metal fests without Ozfest. And it all came from the fact that Lollapalooza snubbed Ozzy and it pissed Sharon off. Well, he's old. He's a has-been. Oh, really? Is he? He's a fucking has-been? Yeah, okay. Fuck you. And look what she created.
Yeah.
You got to give her props for that, man. You got to give, and then the fact that, like, not only did she not just save Ozzy's life, but, you know, and the reason why there is a Blizzard of Oz and a Diary of a Madman is a big part of her. And she introduced Ronnie James Dio to fucking Tony Iommi.
Yeah.
You don't get that version of
Well,
Black
let's just
Sabbath,
be real
man.
honest,
Like,
as
you know, come on, man.
human beings and adults, and
Like you
living
said,
with somebody like, and I love Ozzy, and that includes all his sins and imperfections, the drugs. But anybody that's had to deal with a loved one or somebody that's a full blown drug fucking addict, I mean, alcohol, that's tough, man.
yes.
I mean, gotta forget, he did try to fucking choke her out.
Yeah.
I mean, Ozzy has the amount of bullshit Sharon, and I know in the heyday, in the early part, I heard some people, I forget who it was, if it was Rudy Sarzo or one of somebody back in the original, you know, when Randy wrote the first solo album and all that shit was going on, that they were a perfect match. You know, water finds it, so it seeks its own level. So that at that time frame, they both liked to drink a lot. They were, you know, fuck a lot, party a lot. So, you know, it kind of, you know, it was a match made in hell or heaven, however you want to look at it. But Sharon eventually dropped kind of slowed her shit down.
Yeah.
But with Ozzy, that's not the case. I mean, even when he was doing the Osbournes, he was still fucking around. I mean, I don't think Ozzy completely has ever been completely clean up until probably the last few
Well, yeah,
years.
because he
I
got
don't even know
strung
if
out
he's
on
made it a
pills.
decade yet. Right,
When he
pill
quit,
addiction.
when he quit, and it's interesting because you mentioned "Close My Eyes Forever" earlier, Bushy, and Lita Ford had just said in a recent interview that those lyrics were Ozzy's. He wrote that because him and Sharon were having
Oh, trust me,
problems at the
there's
time,
that too.
and she's like, I knew when I wrote the guitar part and we were writing, Ozzy just started singing the lines. Now, obviously, it's
That's
him and
how
her going
Osbournes
back.
would work.
But that's how Ozzy writes anyway. But she said, I knew at the time because Sharon was my manager
Even geezers address that.
that that's all he was talking about him and Sharon.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the lyrics to that song, it's a ballad, but it's a dark ballad. I mean,
Oh,
he's
yeah,
basically
sure.
saying, you want to get right with me? You're going to have to fucking kill yourself, bitch. Close your eyes forever. You got to close your eyes. I mean, it's dark. That's a dark song.
Oh,
I
yeah.
still love that song, though. I don't give a fuck.
Anyway, I just wanted to kind of like why I suggested all this was just I've always kind of prided our community, like the metal community, of being intelligent, like really intelligent. Like that most of us, for the most part, are pretty sharp,
Right.
cerebral wise. Like, but
Strong
over the
minded.
last few years, especially the shit you read on social media, especially certain artists like Pinnacle, iconic. I'm not talking about just an everyday typical rock. We're talking about living icons, essentially. Like the amount of bullshit. I'm like, I don't know how you could be fucking pissed off about this show. And I don't know what part ever from the time it was announced that you didn't automatically be like, well, clearly this is what it is. I mean, obviously this guy, I mean, we've seen that he had to be in a chair for the Rock and Roll Hall thing. He was actually I used to joke for fucking years before it ever became an issue that you could roll Osborne out taped to a fucking dolly and people would still show up
And cheer.
and cheer for him because it's Ozzy Osbourne. Or we can say Tony Iommi or any of the four, right? So I don't get this, like where people get this shit. It's like Sharon's trying to get a cash grab, and it's like this, and like if you can't do it anymore, why do it? And I'm like, if you can't, to me, I don't like what kind of asshole are you to expect an old man to get out there and deliver what he used to deliver in his prime?
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they're talking, oh, he's got to sit in a throne, and Sabbath is only going
so
to do a few songs.
what's so bad about
He's
that?
only going to do 4 or 5 solo
So
songs. It's like,
So
but he's going to be
they
out there doing it, dude.
and here's the other
yeah.
thing,
What if he
they've
don't
got so
sing at
many
all and
other
he just
bands
comes
and
out and hangs
artists.
out? I'm okay with that.
You're not just going
It's
to
just
see
sharing
Sabbath.
space and saying thank you for
Right.
everything over all these decades. I mean, he started when he was 19 years old. That's
Yeah.
all he fucking knows. He's going nuts. He's been going fucking nuts ever since he couldn't go back out on the road after the fall.
Yeah.
So that's hard to give up. And the adulation of all those fans cheering for. I mean, it's hard for people like that live that lifestyle. I mean, you don't just stop being, like inside.
Right.
So he's trying to. I mean, I worry sometimes about him.
Even
Taking care of it. Yeah, I do. I worry like,
yeah, I
oh, fucking
half-heartedly
Robin Williams
roll
on
the feed every day. I'm like, oh God, who is it this time?
him.
Because
Right.
those are getting older, and it's just like, don't see Ozzy. The Lemmy one hit me hard enough. I'm like, don't see Ozzy, don't see Ozzy. So
Right.
that I don't
Right.
see that Ozzy's passed away is a good fucking day.
Oh, dude, that's gonna. And here's the thing, too. Like I've noticed also, and within the last, I don't know, 15. Well, really, honestly, it started with the Osbournes. There was this backlash from some in the metal community on Ozzy, and then it's just gone from where now you got people believing every fucking thing Bob Daisley says. And I'm not saying that everything Bob is saying is wrong or inaccurate or the truth, or I think some of it is
I mean,
true. Yes.
yeah.
Do I think though that he did everything like he fucking makes it out. Fuck to the no. I'm never gonna believe that.
Yeah.
Especially, and you got Eddie Trunk who loves to buy it, and that's one thing that bothers
Yeah.
me about your boy Trunk, Bushy. Fuck him shit. Like they're and Ralph played it. It's a fucking interview with Don Airy, Ozzy's old keyboard player, who's with Deep Purple now.
Don.
And he wrote the intro, Mr. Crowley. He's telling Eddie how he wrote it, and he goes, and Ozzy was like, "Well, I want this, I want that." Finally, Don said, "Dude, would you just go to a fucking pub or do something and let me work on this, and then come back? And if you like it, cool, and if you don't, then we'll fucking rework it."
Right.
It's like, okay, cool, man. Because he's like, "All right, Don, fuck," So he leaves because Don was just like, "Bro, you're driving me nuts." So he writes it, fucking perfect. Comes back, Ozzy loves it. They write the song. And then he said, well, yeah, that's the thing. Ozzy wrote, he did all the melodies and, which again, even right there alone, if he's doing the melodies, that's a huge part of constructing a song. From what I understand, I'm not a musician. I'm only going by what musicians tell me. Creating melodies is a very big part.
Here's an example. What's his name? He's a guitar player. He laid down a guitar track, and then he put it out there for drummers to add their own piece. Like what would you do over this piece of music, And you got a multitude of variations,
Exactly.
So, that's what, I mean, it's just like that. And I don't know. I mean,
but I loved what he said. So Eddie goes, well, Ozzy just writes the melodies. He doesn't write lyrics. And Don stopped him right then there. Goes, Ozzy writes lyrics. Ozzy writes lyrics all the time. What are you talking?
In all the books, Iommi mentions it. Geezer's mentions.
He said the way Ozzy writes, he comes up with scat lyrics. He just comes up with scat vocals.
I worked the same way when I was playing.
Exactly, and there were certain lyrics if Ozzy liked them, they'd keep.
Mostly in Search of the
or even Sabbath. And if there was ones where he'd go, hey Geezer, help me come up with something here with this vocal line, and then that's what I love about the deluxe box sets I got of those Black Sabbath albums. On volume 4, the very first song, man, Geezer wrote about, growing up, basically about becoming an adult. When you're a kid, you live in this fantasy world, and then when you grow up, you realize it's all an illusion. Ozzy's lyrics was basically about how beautiful the world was and how mankind has destroyed it with pollution and abusing it. Yeah. Same fucking song, but that was the original lyrics. And part of me is like, they could have kept those lyrics and I would have been okay with it. But for whatever reason, Ozzy was like, hey, because Geezer did write a lot of the lyrics to Black Sabbath. Nobody's debating that. But Ozzy wrote lyrics too. In fact, there's a lot of great Black Sabbath. The Writ, Ozzy wrote all those lyrics. Fairies Wear Boots. I hear Ozzy wrote quite a bit of that song. He says, which is funny in his book, he goes, I don't fucking remember. But apparently he did write a lot of Fairies Wear Boots. Like, it's like it was and I do know that the song Black Sabbath, Ozzy totally wrote those lyrics because Geezer says, I told Ozzy about my dream. And then when we wrote Black Sabbath, he related my experience, or at least part of it, in those lyrics. The big black shape,
Exactly. Well, even War Pigs, man, if you get on YouTube, there's an alternate.
Oh, Ozzy's lyrics are evil.
Ozzy, like something about burnt. What was
Cast the priest into the fire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Geezer's like, whoa, Ozzy.
Yeah, Geezer refined it, like cleaned it up. And I think that's how a lot of it worked.
Yes.
Especially in the early part. Now, I'm not going to say because Iommi touches on it in his booklet, especially when they went to the castle and recorded, what was that? Sabbath Play Sabbath. Ozzy was in shape, man. He wasn't doing much. They were kind of all fucking pissed off at him because he wasn't stepping up to the plate at all. But that's the thing about Ozzy is it's not like, but at the same time, all the things that imperfections with Ozzy, I don't know. To me, the guy had dyslexia. It kind of makes sense to me that he would have trouble.
Right.
Obviously, he didn't do well in school. I'm sure grammar and writing were not A+ fucking subjects for the guy.
Yeah.
He struggled. So but to me, that was always part of the love and charm of Oz. And all them guys really is they came out of this
humble beginning,
industrial shithole fuck a lot of them dirt poor,
Working
humble,
class.
modest, some next to no education like Ozzy, and they became a world icon. I mean, you
Yeah.
could go anywhere. I mean, Ozzy, if you watched when they traveled all around, they were constant. I mean, even especially after the Osbournes, post Osbournes, you're talking Ozzy can't walk out on the open street. He's going to have like old people, young people.
Especially after the
They're going to
show.
recognize him.
And I do remember when Ozzy was getting a lot of his accolades, like when he had when that one Greta Van Susteren invited him to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and you had President Bush mentioning him, and
Yeah,
he was, he was getting accepted into the mainstream finally, and he was getting the Walk of Fame, he was getting, he's getting all these accolades, and I'll never forget Rob Halford, the metal god, was on a metal show, and he said it seems like Ozzy has people, the world is finally realizing what us fucking metalheads knew all along.
Ozzy's cool.
It's like it's fucking Ozzy, and every one of these guys, these especially the ones that are going
There's not
around.
too many. I was talking to Mike. I brought this up. Like, I'm pretty. I mean, I'll talk music with people, and I'll be like, I don't get it, and this is why I like it, and I don't. I mean, I'll be like, honest in my opinion, especially if you're kind of asking for it. But with Ozzy, it's like there's not very many artists. Like if somebody out and out takes a shit on it, something I like, I don't really automatically have this like knee jerk response, like, oh, I got to get on here and tell you what a dumb fuck you are
Yeah.
and argue with you like pointlessly about it. That's fine. However, there's a couple of people that I still try to refrain from doing, like coming, to their defense, but any of the guys in Sabbath or Osborne, I have a problem with. Like, yeah, especially if you claim to be a metalhead.
Exactly. That's what I was just gonna say.
Um,
If heavy metal is not your thing and you don't like Black Sabbath, so that's fine. You don't like heavy metal.
and I know you're not a big Beatles guy,
but
but
people
Beatles
who
is a
claim
trigger for me. I don't. When somebody says they don't, especially the later half, like the more psychedelic,
see, he likes the early stuff.
Really?
Yes, that's his
That
Beatles.
surprises me, but that's cool. I love that too.
Yeah, I love the
Wood.
pop Beatles. Your help. I want to hold your hand.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Yeah,
I like that stuff. There's
that changed
tracks
my life.
here and there.
Well, I mean, one of his favorite Beatles songs is Octopus's Garden. He loves that song.
I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I don't think it matters, does it?
listened,
Really? Metaphorical, maybe. I don't know.
but yeah, it gets a little weird. Not a fan. I'd rather listen to the Stones.
Man, with the Stones, I love them. I'll even listen to it. I'll be like, God damn, that's good. But then, if I have to watch Jagger, I don't like watching Jagger. I just don't like his.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh,
yeah.
I
He
see.
says
I
on
love
again
him
the
as
rooster
a
shit, and
I
it's
love
like,
it.
I know that's great, and I'm not shitting on it. But for me personally, I'm just kind of like, and I think what fucked me up, and somebody can maybe back me up on that. My memory here is correct. That as a kid, they were on SNL, and Richards, and not Keith, but the other guitarist at the time. What's his name?
Ron Wood.
Yeah, Ron Wood. One of them, Jagger goes over to him during SNL, and he kind of pulls, kind of like what happened with Chili Peppers between, uh, basically like they're gonna fucking kiss, sticking their tongues out at each other,
I
like
don't remember.
shit at each other. Oh yeah,
I don't remember that
and
at
even
all.
Dad, I remember Dad being like, "What the fuck? That's disgusting. They're disgusting." Dad outrage. Oh, that's just goddamn disgusting.
I will say this: have you ever seen Mick Jagger when he was on SNL and he did his Keith Richards impersonation?
No, but I bet
it's fucking hilarious, dude.
How much of his life with him?
Oh, it was so fucking funny. I mean, it was. I was like, oh my God. He had him down completely, man. It was great.
Jagger is the part of, and I don't know. There's certain parts of the Stones that I really love, and then some of it I'm just kind of like the Who. Who's like that for me too. Really talented. You got Keith Moon. I mean, all that. I mean, going on, and there's some incredible songs. But then there's some songs too where I'll be like, "What the fuck happened?" Like it's almost like it's not the same band,
Yeah.
I
And
think with the Stones, for me personally, there's certain periods. I love the early stuff, the Brian Jones era, as they call it. But my favorite era is the guy who took his place, Mick Taylor from John Mayall's Blues Breakers. I love that era of the Stones. I
see,
think that was the
I'm not
Stones
the
at their
guy you want to
best.
have a real deep Stones.
Well, I've kind of gotten
I
into the
didn't
Stones
follow.
over and it really started as just because when I was younger, I was mostly a casual Stones fan. I had like the compilations.
I mostly know the early.
And when I got, because of the internet, I was like, well, let me check out some more of their albums. I wanted to hear some deeper Stones cuts. And that's when I started listening to, well, songs like Starfucker and, just really cool stories. Like, wow, man.
There's some
Like,
great.
there's some great stuff
I
there,
feel
man.
that way about Bowie. Like Bowie's a
Bowie,
hit lick
there,
in a
you know
bit.
what?
There's
I'm
some
listening
Bowie
to
I
Rock and Metal
love, and
Combat
there's some of it I'm
podcast.
like,
I'm listening to the Rock and Metal Combat podcast right now, and they're doing a Bowie record. And Bowie's that way with me. Good comparison, Dave.
yeah,
Because,
it's just like,
dude,
what?
what I love of Bowie, I love. And then there's other stuff where I'm like, what? China Girl? Which I know was a huge hit for him. Like, people love Let's Dance and
Yeah.
China Girl. And
Here, I'll
that's
explain
not
it like
really
this.
my David
Real
Bowie.
quick,
I'm a
I'll sum
Ziggy
it up.
Stardust guy.
If I was to make a playlist of the Stones, I'm talking all their shit throughout all the years. Not just the hits, not just the shit. And then I take all the Beatles discography and I put it in a playlist. I can suffer through the entire playlist, even if those Beatles songs are kind of subpar for Beatles songs, but I can't with the Stones. I'll turn it on.
Gotcha.
And I know this because I tried several times, a couple times. And I'm like, I love what I love with the Stones, but there's some of that shit that I just
What's your favorite Stones song if
stop.
you had to pick one?
Brown Sugar's one.
Oh, I love Brown Sugar.
God,
Yeah.
my memory, like I'm horrible anymore. Like I'm about ready to go get my fucking memory tested, dude. Like, where am I?
One of Bildo's favorite. Well, I think his all-time favorite Stones track is "Can't You Hear Me Knocking," which is
Oh
like
yeah, that's a great.
That's
is
the
that
Mick Taylor
It's
era.
got like the real long, like is it a sax at the end of it or some crazy shit? Like, ain't that the one?
No, you're thinking
Which
of
one's got the crazy sax? It's like a badass saxophone, and it's pretty long song.
yeah, you're thinking of a God damn, I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
think of the
sorry.
name of it right now, and it's fucking iconic, man.
Yeah, it's a big. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Now the
That's
Beatles,
Osborne.
I give Beatles credit where credit's due because I'd be an absolute fool not to.
Right. There's certain,
But
like I said about the Misfits, you kind of have to be like, hey, it is what it is. Like,
yeah, with me, I would definitely get through the Stones playlist a whole lot easier than I would the Beatles list. Yeah.
He loves the
exact
Stones.
opposite. But I love you, man. It's all good.
But I like the
I
blues.
forgive you, man.
I like the blues, and the Stones are a little more blues rock and roll, and the Beatles were
Yeah,
just
they're more
weird.
gritty. It's more that I mean, obviously blue, like you said, like blue, deep, dark blues, deep, like
Gimme Shelter.
yeah, give me
That's
Shelter,
the
which
song
is
you're
a
talking
great
about, which
cut.
I love that fucking
I mean,
song,
there's
man.
a lot of Stones I love. I don't want to come off at all like I don't like or appreciate the
You're
Stones.
not like I'm pissing on the
I do.
Stones.
But they're not, But you know what's really weird is I went these certain. I'm that phase guy too. I'm one of them. If you hit me, and there's certain bands like when I discovered Zeppelin, and I devoured their entire, especially like when you could buy the box sets and get everything, and
Yeah.
I would just like play it over and over, and I still love Led Zeppelin, but I mean, I'm 50, I'm going on 60 years, and I'm not saying there aren't certain cuts where I want like Cashmere or like there's a, especially with and Bonham and all that going on, it's fucking fantastic, and I can listen to it, but I don't seek it out that much anymore because I've just listened to it so much, and that's even true for certain Sabbath songs. I mean, but I do eventually come back,
Yeah.
Iron
Zeppelin,
Maiden's one of those too. I don't listen to them all the time.
yeah, Zeppelin, it's funny you bring them up. They're one of those bands that I still to this day have only heard in its entirety the first four albums.
No shit.
I've
You
never
listened to it all, man. It's
No,
good.
I'm lying. Houses of the Holy. I like that album.
Yeah, which is a great album.
That's
Yeah.
that's my favorite Zeppelin album.
Yeah, it's great.
But the others, I haven't heard them. And I've got them and I've never put them on the turntable.
Yeah, you need
Iron
to,
Maiden,
man.
same way. I've got to be in a mood for Iron Maiden. And I love Maiden. I
I
love,
did too. They were big. Steve Harris was a big deal to me.
yeah.
And
But it's like,
it-
you know,
but I tuned out after what was that? Son of a Seventh Son or
yeah, I
whatever.
love that album.
Mike.
Seventh
Son of the Seventh Son. Yeah, what about it?
stuff.
Sorry. Just letting you talk, dude. So I know you
But you
guys
got to
were
be my
just
memory, dude.
oh, what are you talking about? Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. What
Yeah,
about
well, I
it?
think that's the last album that I
That's where I tuned
tuned
out
out.
for
Like
a
I tuned
while.
out.
I mean, I remember you bought the album because right around the time we were listening to Justice for All,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And we were like, we liked it, but I'm like,
It
it,
was
it was a
bad.
step down from like, or, like I was one of those people that I loved Somewhere in Time too. And I know some older Maiden fans, like our good friend Dr. Fuck,
Yeah,
that's where he kind of tuned out. It's like, he didn't feel that record.
yeah.
Mm.
I liked that record to me, but you talk to some Maiden fans and they'll tell me I'm fucked, man. Oh, Seven Sons, great. And I'm like, it's not bad, but that was kind of the beginning of prog Maiden. And I don't mind prog rock and prog metal, but it's like with Maiden, I don't know.
That's
It's like the newer Maiden
I
songs
agree with
and
that
albums.
now.
They
It's
don't, they
rock,
don't,
yeah, more
they
progressive.
don't, they don't, I don't hate them. I don't sit there and go, man, this really fucking sucks.
Mhm.
No, but it doesn't grab me either. It doesn't grab me like, you know, how I don't know, 2 minutes to midnight. It doesn't grab me like, Die with Your Boots On. It doesn't grab me like that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't grab me like The Trooper. It doesn't grab me like, even the Phantom of the Opera or any of the early Maiden stuff, including the Diano stuff, just doesn't grab me like that stuff. I mean, I
I
long for
had
the days
never,
when Maiden would kick the shit out of me
he
in
don't
four and a
mean
half
anything to
minutes.
me, Deanna.
Oh, really? I
No,
like
I
that
didn't
stuff.
buy that initial for, and he wasn't. Yeah, when I discovered Maiden with Number of the Beast, it was Bruce. That's
Yeah, same
what I got
here.
introduced into, and for a long time, I mean, I knew it was a different, but I just didn't particularly find his vocal styling for the time, and more now
That
I
was
get
stuff I
it.
went
Like,
back on. I went
right,
back on that
yeah,
and discovered it and liked it. Like I
yeah.
love Remember Tomorrow. That's still one of my
Now I know that
all-time
would be
favorite
blasphemy to
Iron
some
Maiden fans.
old school Maiden fans. I'd be like, "Ooh."
But that's because they were there at the
Like, yeah,
beginning,
like
dude.
Ralph just loved
Timeline,
when
bro.
he passed. Ralph was seemed to be pretty
But anyway, all these
hit
bitches
by that.
that be talking shit on Ozzy and oh he didn't do this and he doesn't do that and he's a fucking he's
I
fucking
don't know. I just
blah
don't know
blah
what
blah
people
fucking blah.
expect, and why are you
You
taking shit?
motherfuckers, when the man dies, you're gonna have him on your little profile picture and your social media accounts. You'll be
True,
fucking sucking his cock and
true.
acting like you gave a fuck. You fucking I don't know. To me it's like this. How do you call yourself a metalhead? It's one thing if you don't like heavy metal and your man Ozzy sucks or Sabbath sucks, but I just don't see. I'm not saying that Black Sabbath's got to be your number one band of all time,
Right.
but you have to ignore that. To me, that would be like going, man, I really love outlaw country, but fuck Willie Nelson, man. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me. I'm
Right.
I'm sorry, it just doesn't.
I
And
I
to me, I'm
agree
telling,
with
I'm
you.
calling you out, motherfuckers. You're a fucking poser if you don't respect the majesty
You're a
and the
poser.
power, yes, of Black Sabbath. If you call yourself a metalhead and you don't fucking appreciate Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath,
I'm not going
you're
to
a
argue to a
fucking
certain extent.
poser. I said it. Come at me, motherfuckers.
Black
Come
Sabbath.
at me.
Shit,
Come at
we
me.
need to get Mike one of them belts, man, like the WW.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I'll take the Pepsi challenge for these fucking bitches. Seriously, though, dude, it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, oh, Metal Mike's having one of his meltdowns. Yeah, whatever. It's the fucking truth, man. Like, I just don't get it. Again, be like, man, I love classical music, but fuck Mozart. That
Yeah,
guy sucks. Get the
yeah,
fuck out of here. I love the blues, but Robert Johnson sucks cock.
yeah,
What a poser. That's not real blues.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
for real.
Your argument is irrelevant. You just cease to have any fucking point, and you really just you know what? Do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Here's a good idea. You
Thanks,
probably
Mike.
will do this because you're stupid. Take your finger, lick it and put it in a light socket and ride the fucking lightning. And I promise you, nothing will happen. You're probably a bunch of Tide Pod swallowing fucking ingesting fucking morons.
Wow.
Anyway,
Tell us how you really feel about Black Sabbath.
dude,
We love our Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath, to me, they're the gods themselves, man. When it comes to metal, there is no metal without them.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
That first
I don't give
album.
a fuck,
Well,
man.
he was touching
The
on
Devil's
it.
Triad like that,
No.
just freaking everybody out. There's nothing more metal than that. There'll never be anything more metal than that, man. That is,
No, they
that-
invented it.
yeah, that
Well,
is.
there was people that I feel like Hendrix was an influence.
Of course.
You know, there are things that went on, even Beatles Revolution.
Oh,
You
so
know, you know what I'm saying? Kinks, you know,
Helter
but
Skelter.
they
Yep.
didn't write everything in that same groove, you know, like, you know, and then Iommi losing his fingertips and the whole down tuning,
yeah,
that played a pinnacle part too. So
down tuning, heavier gauge,
and then the subject matter.
fingertips he has to
And
use.
like you said,
Yeah.
the subject matter, because you had four guys who lived in a shithole and they were fucking pissed off about it. And they looked at the world and everybody's talking about, oh, if you go to San Francisco, put a flower in your hair. And Ozzy and them were like, what the fuck is San Francisco? You
Yeah.
know, they didn't get it. They were like, fuck this. We're going to sing about the real side of life, the darker side of life.
Yeah.
Because nobody was. They were so against the grain in 1970. If you look at what was going on in music at that time, and I wasn't even born when that out. I mean, I might have been getting
Well, even
conceived.
Kiss got smacked on the ass for being just so out there. Like,
Oh yeah, dude. The
they
demons
didn't know how
of
to
rock.
categorize them. I remember going to a record store and seeing them in the acid rock section.
Yes.
So, you know, like when I was a kid, man, I mean, I wanted everything heavy all the time, as heavy as it could be. And then we was talking at home, my house, you know, about Kiss, and that I'm not ashamed that Kiss was like my gateway band. You know, that was the band that I discovered. I was only like, I don't know, 8, 9 years old when that, and I was in third grade, man, and a buddy of mine had this drawing of Gene Simmons, and I could see it because we were sitting kind of, you know, cockeyed of each other. I could see on his desktop, and I see this drawing, and I'm art, you know, I draw and shit and art, and I go, hey man, badass drawing. He goes, yeah, that's Gene Simmons, Kiss, and he's real. And I go, no, he's not fucking real. That ain't real. You know, he goes, no, this is fucking real guy. His name's Gene Simmons. I'm like, you're full of shit. Ain't nobody look like that. You're fucked. He goes, man, we'll go by my house after school. I'll show you. I was like, all right, you show me. So we go back to his place, man, down in the basement, and he drops the needle to a light, you know, on that opening date, you know, and it was over.
Yeah.
And I had always loved music and things that, I mean, I was always attracted to it, but Kiss was that band that made me realize, like, hey, I could fucking do this. Like, this is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I could form a band and be a fucking rock star, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway,
And then he bought the album and brought it home
yeah,
and melted his little brother's mind, both of his little twin brothers' mind.
yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
opened
I
up
got
whole-
alive much later in life. I think it was 83.
Yeah.
There.
How old were you though, Bush?
8.
Okay, so you were the same age as my brother when he discovered Kiss.
When the wheels fell off Kiss, so to speak, like he said, kind of, I was so desperate to find something that was equal, that had that low end, that thick, because there was, you know, there was things going on that were kind of edgy, but it just didn't have that, like Sabbath low end. It didn't have the downturn, you know, like the thick.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but the only thing I remember right away that I could seek out that kind of held weight, you know, in comparison to Kiss and Sabbath was Cooper. And then I was kind of like in this weird like limbo. I'm like, I can't find much. There's not very many artists out here, Aerosmith, but like I couldn't find much. So then I'm like, well, I'll take a chance with Foghat, which is a great, you know, live album, Foghat Live with, you know, Slow Ride, Sticks, and things that were going on, Rush.
Mhm.
But and as much as I enjoyed some of those things, it wasn't the same as Sabbath, and you know, there was a totally So,
Can I guess what band
yeah.
filled that
I
void
mean,
for you?
during that time frame, there wasn't that much
Can
going.
I
Like,
can I say what I think
yeah.
filled that void for you? I, this what
Masturbating.
well, not that.
Oh,
That well, of course that fills everything.
right.
But I think Van Halen won. I remember
Oh, definitely.
when you brought
Yeah,
that home and
yeah,
you said, dude, this guy's a better guitar player. And I was like, uh-uh. And he fucking threw Eruption on. And I was like,
yeah.
what? You know, I
Dad
think,
didn't know. Dad still don't like it.
yeah.
I tried to play it for him here a year or so back, and he's like, I don't care about that. But Eruption, But I remember I got that album shit. One of my fondest memories of that album is, my old man burned. He'd get off work. He wasn't a drinker, but he'd go lock himself up in the bathroom and he'd fucking smoke up and chill out. And I thought, man, I'm gonna wait till the old man's good and bright, like fucking feeling good.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna drop this fucking album on. I'm gonna drop Eruption on the old man while he's in the shitter. So the old man goes, he's in there for like 20 minutes or so. And I'm like, yeah, he's probably feeling pretty good. So I drop Eruption. And he didn't come out right away, but when he come out, man, he looked at me and he goes, "What in the fuck is that?" You know, I'm like, that's fucking Van Halen, Dad. He's like, that's some bullshit. And I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
But this is the same guy as much as I love my old man. I had, have you told this story probably?
Well, I think I have, but go ahead.
I was so fucking into Bon Scott, ACD. I was ACDC. Worship Bon Scott. And for those about the rock had just come out. It hadn't been out long. And Mike was getting up in age and that, or and he was getting allowed. Mom and Dad would give us allowance. And Mike wanted to buy an album, and he was like, I want to get the new For Those About to Rock. So Mike gets the fucking out. We get it home. Everything's fine. Dad gets home, gets to work. We sit down at the kitchen table and to eat and shit. And Mike starts talking about, I got this album. Dad's like, who'd you get? And he goes, oh, it's ACDC. Goes back to rock. And my dad, didn't he smack you one for it? Like,
Yeah, he smacked
what
me.
the fuck you buying that for?
Yeah.
You let
Which,
your
I mean,
brother influence you into buying some shit, drive me fucking more crazy.
He kind of had a meltdown on me.
Fuck ACDC.
And believe it or not, when I was a little guy, I was pretty sensitive, especially with my father. It's like if he even sometimes gave me a look, I'd be like, "Oh fuck, Dad's mad at me," And I don't know, man. I just kind of felt fucking persecuted or something. And also it bothered me because it's like, so I have no thought of my own, Yeah, you're right. Dave made me buy this record. No, Dave did not make me buy this fucking record, Dad.
Yeah.
And I remember the one thing he said to me, and he said it again when he was grilling one day. He's turning the steaks over, and he goes, 20 years, nobody's going to know who the fuck ACDC
Oh, it wasn't even
is.
that long.
And I'm
It
going,
was less time than that, brother.
it was like 10 years, 15, I don't know.
it
It was a
was
certain
less
amount of time, but I was just like, okay. And I'm like, Dad, I love you, but a soothsayer, you are not.
I remind him of that show.
Well, I know, he laughs. He chuckles.
I'll look over at him and I'll be like, yeah, Dad, you remember how you told me ACDC? Nobody know who the fuck they were in 5-10 years? He's like, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah.
And they're still huge, man. That tour's doing gangbusters.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and it's not even the original lineup anymore. Yeah. I mean, dude.
Young.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give it up for the Young brothers, man.
Yeah.
You do.
Man, I wish Malcolm would have went a little more.
Yeah, it sucks that he and that picture of them where they're carrying the coffin and Angus is, and just the look on his face, man, it just broke my heart.
Wasn't the other brother in on the
George was their
right?
producer on their early albums, and George was in another Australian band that was pretty popular in Australia, and he was really the guy that helped them out. With quite their career. Legacy. But yeah, my dad, who I loved him dearly, man, but I was just like, Mark even talked about that a while back, how about him smacking me for buying that record.
Mark.
And I'm going, well, you know how Mark is.
Man, that's
good old Mark. Man. Was it funny? Was it fun? No, Mark, it wasn't that fucking funny. Was I an asshole for laughing? Wee. Yeah, dude.
I fuck with Mark. I'll fuck with Mark like this, I'll fuck with him. Like all of a sudden I'll be like, hey, Mark, you remember that time when Uncle Bill took us hunting? You know,
You'll make
and,
some shit up.
yeah, and I'll make up some shit. And he tried to grab you by the balls. And Mark will be like, what? It's the fucking great. I'll be like, that time Uncle Les took me fishing and he like tried to drown me. You're like, oh, David,
Yeah.
I fuck with Mark. Like
Oh,
that.
well, yeah, Marky's
He's
awesome.
fun.
We love Metal Mark.
Metal Mark's
But
the shit.
but yeah, man, he's very much like, but yeah, he'll sometimes remind me of things where I'm like, yeah, Mark, I remember that.
Oh,
Which it's not like I'm scarred by it. I mean, I love my dad dearly and he was a great dad, but it did kind of like, I mean, look, if I fucking do something wrong, like really, yeah, by all means, smack me in the mouth, I deserve it, but
yeah.
you backhanded me for buying a fucking record with my own money that I worked for? It pissed
what
me
that
off,
was about.
Remember, I had to give one of my
That's
records
about
back. So
huh?
I had to give one of my records back. It was too
Now,
sexual.
see, that's the weird thing about my parents, though. Like, they wouldn't let us go to the concerts, even you.
Right.
We could have the posters, we could have the records.
Mhm.
And a lot of my records before that, and that's why it kind of shocked me. I'm like, I've got other records, but those were hand-me-downs. Those were either records Dave bought me or gave me because he got whatever, or like my first Black Sabbath albums, Master of Reality. Kevin Barnes gave me his old copy. Mitchell gave me some of his old Judas Priest records.
Well, Mitch would
That
get when they'd have them things where they clip the corners at the fat where they press them.
Yeah, he would get them at a discount.
Yeah, and he'd get them.
He got me Sad Wings of Destiny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he gave me Jimi Hendrix Band of Gypsies.
Right.
I heard
Yeah.
Machine Gun first time.
Yeah, it was really cool stuff, man. I was a kid, I loved it,
Yeah,
but and really, as I said, my big brother, Kevin, who was like a big brother to us, dude who lived across the street, and then Mitchell. And it was Kevin and Mitchell that, because we were so obsessed with KISS, as you remember, they were guys, there's other fucking bands, But to me, it was like, For Those About to Rock was my first record that I bought with my own money. I mowed yards, sweated my balls off to buy that record. I wanted that record so bad because I'd heard it for the first time. Because KC95, that's when they would do cool shit. Like we're debuting the album. And I remember the first time hearing that song and how it built up and built up and built up. And then, and I still think that don't get me wrong, Back in Black, again, objectively, yes, Back in Black is probably the best Brian Johnson AC/DC album. But for me, for sentimental reasons, I'm always going to be a For Those About to Rock guy. And that song, believe it or not, Gene Simmons was jealous of For Those About to Rock. He said, it's the perfect rock song. I wish I'd have wrote it. I was like, no, Gene, you were too busy doing stupid shit like Unmasked.
Right. Yeah, Unmasked.
You were too bad writing crap like She's So European.
Yeah.
I mean, you did do Naked City-O, the only good song on that shitty fucking record. Yeah, I said it. Anyway.
Oh, Lordy.
I think the old man crapped you because he felt like I had pulled a fast one on, like manipulated you.
I know, because you defended
disappointed in his baby.
You defended me
for that shit.
And you defended me though. You were like, Dad, he wanted it.
I'm like, God dang, Dad.
Mom was pissed.
Remember, album, bro. I mean,
Mom got mad at him.
Yeah,
because it's like he didn't do anything wrong, Gene.
Let's move on.
But
great. We're at an hour and a half here, guys. I
think on that note, we'll talk about my abusive. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I love you, Dad.
Let's end on Metal Mike getting the shit slapped out of him. I love it.
Which I did get the shit slipped out of me from time to time, but usually it was because of something stupid.
I'm going to sum it up. Like Mike was always like, I'll appease Mom, Dad, and be a pleaser. And I was like, in Goodfellas, where they're like, every once in a while you got to take a good beating.
Yeah.
I was that guy. Like,
yes.
Fuck you. I'll be like, fuck you just for fuck you sake.
Yes.
And you can beat me like a fucking animal.
Yeah, you really were, dudes. To the point to where, that part in the Breakfast Club.
I'm not necessarily proud of that.
And where the principal keeps going, or I guess he's the assistant principal. You want another? And Bender just keeps shooting his mouth up, and you got Molly Ryan all like, would you stop? There were times where I would look at David and go, dude, just stop, please, because I'm tired of seeing you get your ass beat, man. You're my big brother, because, and it's not like I didn't get my ass beat. I got my ass beat too, but it was usually because of something, which incidentally, sometimes I got my ass beat because this guy would, even my big brother. So, hey, okay, so it sounds like fun. And then next thing I know, Dad's coming in with his belt. I'm like, "Oh," you know, so you know.
I
Yeah.
remember those days.
Oh
But
yeah.
it makes you a better person.
Oh, it
I think
totally.
so.
Oh, for sure.
Scapegoat, I'm glad you came on, man. This was fun.
Yeah,
We'll have to
I'm
do it
glad
next
to. I'd
time.
like to do it again. I
We'll
mean,
definitely have to have you on again.
I told Mike, we touched on that a little bit, and I won't drag on too. I'm not Mike. I won't drone on for an hour and a half, but yeah, I've been after him for a long time. Be like, dude, I want to just like I mean, my memory is kind of going to shit, but I can talk some music. That's one thing I'm good at.
Right?
So it's like, just anything. Like he's all like, well, pick. I'm like, why do I got to pick? Why don't we just talk about music? Like I I can hold my own pretty well. And I mean, if I don't know it, I'll just, say it's like I don't really know it. I'm not gonna pretend like I know everything, but I can hold my own pretty well.
Oh, I know that.
That's all this is just fun. Bunch of guys sitting around the campfire bullshitting about music, man. It's
Really all it is,
Yeah.
dude. And it's something you and I did many a time in our youth.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say to him. Like, well, how rough? Like, we're talking music, right? I mean, that's something I've.
No, it's just usually Bushy and I at least try to find some theme because we got to give the episode a title.
So how do we end on Ozzy? Like
we
the
just end
haters,
on
you just tell them to suck a
basically,
fat one?
yeah, go suck a big fucking fat demon cock. You're not a real Sabbath fan. You're not a real Ozzy fan. Yeah, I'll say it. Like, and I'm not one of those idiots like, if you don't like Ozzy's music, like everything he's done, then you're not. Now, it's not what I'm saying. So don't put fucking words in my mouth. All right. All I'm saying is, it's fucking Black Sabbath. It's Ozzy, and yeah, all I can say for myself
I
is
wish I could go.
when
I'd love to.
yeah when
If you
when
don't-
the man
I'll
does
take-
die, when any one of the guys in Sabbath die, I'm probably gonna cry like a little bitch. That's how important that band and Ozzy as a solo artist is to me.
Right.
that'd
And
be
that's all I got to say about it, man.
so I feel you. All right.
All right, Bush.
Guys.
All right,
metal.
man. Keep fighting the good fight and stay metal to your dying breath.
Absolutely. Scapegoat. Thanks for coming on. We'll have you on again, my brother.
All right, buddy.
Buy vinyl, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Don't work too hard. Take it easy.
I'll try not to.
All right.